Welcome, my fellow traders. Salutations, as Manuel says here in the chat. Welcome, everybody. Glad you are here tonight for our market recap. It has been quite the wild week, even though it was a short week due to MLK Day. Let me sign that real quick. It was rather eventful. And by eventful, I mean it is bleeding red. We have just blown through all the support levels this week. It has been nuts. Absolute rollover in the market here quite a bit, and we are getting really close to the point of being in what we refer to as correction territory. If we kind of go ahead and let's just measure here from the all-time high to where we are now. Yeah, we are very, very close. Correction is considered about 10%. The NASDAQ itself is actually already in correction territory. So that is something to keep in mind. But yeah, S&P 500 here currently down 8.75%, we'll say percent rather, from the highs over the last 13 trading days. And yeah, we have blown through the 200 simple moving average like it wasn't even there. We are sitting just below the 4,400 support level that Riz refers to sometimes. Next area to look at is going to be 43. So let's go ahead and mark that here so you guys can see that on our good old horizontal line here. And I know Riz says like, oh, it doesn't have to be exact. It just has to be close. No, darn it needs to be exact because that's just how I operate. But yeah, this is kind of what we're looking at here, guys, and it is quite the rollover. And I know a lot of people are hurting right now. They're like, oh, but my open positions, oh my gosh, what's going on? Guys, right now is a time to remain calm and collected. This is what we needed. Okay, I know a lot of you are like, what are you talking about? It could have just kept going up the whole time. No, it can't, all right? These corrections are necessary. They are required. This is the whole concept of buy low, sell high. Well, guess what happens? If we're hitting all-time highs, the only way we're going to buy low is if the market goes down. So this is nothing to be scared of. Don't anybody freak out. I don't want anybody like liquidating all their positions, things like that. But trust me, there are going to be opportunities coming up here in the very near future. For all of our elite members, you guys are going to get those live, of course. And that is obviously the most important thing about being a member of Elite is you're going to be able to get those alerts live when Riz gets into a new position or something like that. When we identify something that looks like a fantastic value from where it is now, these are the things that are required. And so, yes, I understand. Heck, I have got a few positions open right now, and yes, they're in the red. And it's one of those things that we never know when we're going to hit the top or the bottom, but we need to be prepared. Riz has been preaching, build up your cash, build up your cash pile, be ready, because he was calling for this, and he was right. Here it is. It has come. Now, this is not like, oh my gosh, we're going into another depression. It's not the end of the Roaring '20s when, fable has it, people were jumping off of buildings at Wall Street. I don't think that actually happened. But that's what the movies tell us. But it's one of those things, guys. It's normal. I understand when you see something like this, you're like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. Chicken Little comes out. But the best thing you can do as a trader, being an educated trader, because you're here with us at Riz International, you're an elite for everybody here who is on the live call. And if you're just watching on YouTube, make sure you click that subscribe button so you can see all of our content that we get uploaded every week. For our market recaps are going live on YouTube, so we want to make sure that our YouTube audience is taken care of as well. But for our elite members who have gone through the masterclass, you understand what has to happen to get those discounts, and this is what has to happen. So put on your seatbelts, relax. If you are in blue chip stocks like we typically trade here in Elite, you're going to be fine. If it's going down, and it's going to be okay. I mean, the best thing that I can point to here, guys, is Activision. Holy cow. Here is my break-even point, right even at 68. This was spectacular. Thank you, Microsoft, for this one. But this is one of those things, guys. If you hold these blue chip stocks, these solid, companies on the S&P 500 that we suggest you guys trade, you can hold through pain. It's like, yeah, I got in here or somewhere in this area, I think, and I had to hold through a lot, down to 57, but whoo-wee, was I happy to sell her around 86. And these are the types of things that happen, guys, when you hold on to large cap stocks that are solid, have good fundamentals, they actually make something, they do something. You can weather the storm where other people who are trading garbage and who are getting absolutely slaughtered right now may not have a chance of anything coming back. So just be aware of that. If you're holding solid companies, you're fine. If you are somehow in the green on your positions right now, maybe a good time to go ahead and take profits. No, I am not calling the S&P 500 garbage, but good play on words there, Yas. I like that attitude. But no, what I'm saying is, some of these, let's say more speculative companies that some people like to trade, these IPOs, things like that we really don't know have any history, would not be included in what they would say is a blue chip stock. Those, maybe time to let them go. Especially if you're in the green. Definitely in this type of market environment, taking profits faster, definitely advised. But be on the lookout for all of our alerts here for our elite members. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at the S&P 500 here. Energy still way over the zero line here. The only sector that is green right now, up 9% on the year. Everything is below the zero line at this point. Utilities and financials currently technically outperforming the market, only down about 2 and 3% at piece. Healthcare is down 7%. The S&P 500 from the start of the year is down 8.3. Real estate down 8.6, and tech is just getting absolutely wrecked right now, down 12%. We've seen this here as of late with what we refer to as growth companies, some of these tech companies that have been really hammered lately, and were honestly somewhat overvalued. Let's pull it out here to a year and kind of take a look at where we are as far as that's concerned. I mean, obviously over the last year, we're still up 12% on the S&P 500 itself, but man, it took a beating here from, the 12th when this rollover had started to really get going. It was up we lost about 8%, which we actually calculated earlier. But yeah, everything is just rolling over with the market right now. Utilities is just kind of hanging out for the most part, but everything else, steep decline, even energy taking a bit of a hit here. And that is somewhat driven here by the oil prices, but man, oil does not want to be stopped. 85 seems to be a pretty solid resistance point here for oil. I know we did push over it a bit on Thursday and Friday, but it looks like we've kind of come back down into that channel. We'll have to see if 85 pushes any harder. Obviously, oil's been going up quite a bit lately with more travel and things like that opening up. Omicron seems to be less painful than initially thought, and that's my scientific opinion. I think we could start seeing more of a pullback to normal. However, there are obviously other things afoot right now. Let me just take a quick drink there real quick. Sorry about that. Obviously, other political tensions going on around the world. Things going on in the South China Sea, on the border of Ukraine, which was of particular interest to myself. Things we need to kind of keep an eye out for, and seeing how the commodities market will move depending on what goes down over the next few months. But oil right now really, really strong, making a huge push here ever since December of last year, and has just been on an absolute tear, coming back up to the highs here that we saw back in about the end of October. Gold, I feel like a broken record on gold, guys. It's not doing anything. It's just hanging around. It's just kind of consolidating. I mean, we're slightly melting upward, but really not much to write home about. Still feel that gold is a bit overvalued and really isn't acting as a hedge against inflation anymore. So we're not touching metals at this point. But something that some people are getting into pretty hot and heavy, that's an electronic coin of sorts, would be Bitcoin. But man, Bitcoin been absolutely hammered over the last couple days. Getting close to that entry point that Riz talked about a while back. This 30,000 level here was something that he was keeping an eye out for on Bitcoin, and definitely getting very, very close to that. Right now sitting at about 35,000 and change. Really nice roll over here on Bitcoin. Of course, it's not so nice if you're in it, if you got in here at the highs. Let's see. Excuse me. Oh, we're down about 48%. Nothing big, nothing to write home about. Only lost half of its value over 74 days. No problem at all. Nothing to see here. Move along, folks. But yeah, Bitcoin getting smashed as of late, presenting potential buying opportunities for those people who enjoy trading cryptocurrency and things like that. Could be a good entry for you here soon or now if you want to scale in. Looking pretty solid. Myself, personally, long term, I'm bullish on Bitcoin, but yeah, looking pretty decent right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at Riz's open positions moving in here, so we can kind of take an idea of what it is that the man himself is dealing with. And actually, no, we did take a trade this week. Let's take a look at that real quick. JP Morgan, JPM. This is one of our open positions now, getting absolutely wrecked post earnings, absolutely destroyed. Somehow my RSI got taken off. We'll deal with that later. But yeah, absolutely destroyed here post earnings on JP Morgan, giving us an entry opportunity at 149. Obviously, guys, in an environment like this, we're not going to be really respecting stop losses all that much. When the market is just selling and selling and selling like this, you're probably going to get stopped out unless you get it at the absolute bottom, which is incredibly unlikely. Let's just call a spade a shovel here. No one knows where the bottom's going to be, and we have to take an educated, decent entry. 149 is not bad, and I know Riz has no problem holding on to something like J.P. Morgan Chase, for some time if necessary. So if you got in on this one, it looks like we had quite a few that got in. That's looking, it's fine. Obviously, we're down closer to stop loss. We're not there yet. 143.90 is our stop loss that we have listed, but nothing that we need to be too worried about. Let's take a look at a couple of other ones of note. I know Nike was one that a lot of people got into. Hit stop loss technically. Looks like on Thursday and Friday it was just hovering right around our stop loss on that one. But yeah, again, solid company, not going anywhere for a while, regardless of what your feelings are on Nike. Yeah, it looks like our stop was 145.50 on that one. It's going to be around. They're still going to be making shoes. You'll still have your Air Jordans or your LeBrons or whatever it is they're making nowadays that kids are into. You'll still have those, and it's not going anywhere, guys. So great dip buy opportunity here on Nike if that's something that you're interested in, if that's in your price range. Looks like we do have an ex-dividend coming up a little later. It looks like it'll be before next earnings season, so if we have to hold on for a while, it will be there. It looks like about 30 cents a share. Not too bad. Another one we got into was Salesforce. Nice dip here on Salesforce. This is one that Riz has been holding for a little bit. And, again, really solid company. We actually have the Salesforce building here in Indianapolis near where I live. And so one of the biggest CRMs out there. Again, not going anywhere. This is a bit of a tech play. Obviously has been suffering from the rollover in tech as of late, as a lot of tech companies have been doing. You look at stuff like AMD, wrecked, NVIDIA, Micron, everything's selling off. It's just a selling fest. And so it's one of those things you need to hold on to. Matthew wants us to take a look at PayPal. Also getting freaking demolished. If you're in PayPal and you got in earlier when we alerted, we've been holding this one for quite some time. Might be a good time to average down. Definitely has the opportunity to do so. If I double click the chart, oh, there it is. Thank you, Rosine. I appreciate that. There we go. I must have double clicked by accident. But yeah, PayPal getting demolished here as of late. All payment systems are getting hit pretty hard. You look at Visa. They're not getting it as bad, but that's quite the rollover on Friday. Let me think. What are some other ones? Square, Rect. I mean, look at that downtrend. Look at that steep downtrend. Now, let me zoom out here on Square to give you some reference points. I was trading it back here, right? So it's just like, why didn't I hold? Again, no one could have anticipated this move like this. That was pretty crazy post-COVID. And honestly, this rollover here in SQ is making it a lot more alluring, if you ask me. But yeah, a lot of payment systems like PayPal getting absolutely demolished right now. And yeah, if you're in this, if you have enough shares, writing covered calls is always an option to try and lower your cost basis. Also, you could average down is another option for you. But yeah, I mean, it's just getting wrecked right now. Is it going anywhere? No. PayPal is going to be just fine. I mean, earnings were fine. It missed on revenue a little bit. But it looks like earnings are coming up here soon as well. So if you want to speculate, could be a very good time to potentially consider an average down on this one. Looks like 1st of February in the PM after close. So that one's coming up here in about, looks like a week and a couple days. So it could be something good. If you do guys have questions, now's the time to go ahead and do it. So go ahead and start posting in the chat what you want me to take a look at and we can discuss. All right, Matthew wants us to take a look at Spot. Spotify. I remember this one. It's been a hot minute. So it looks like Spotify somewhat broke out of its channel here. Looks like it was somewhere right around in that area. Let's just go ahead and throw that in there. There's some resistance. So obviously we've broken through support. Excuse me, I said resistance earlier. We've clearly blown through support here, especially on Friday with that market rollover. Earnings is coming up here on the 2nd, so the day after PayPal, for those of you who are watching. Me personally, I'm not a huge fan of this company. That's just me. Earnings-wise, looks like they're doing just fine as far as that's concerned, but it looks like they are losing money. So, yeah, maybe not doing so fine on earnings, actually. Yeah. Seems a little overvalued. But, yeah, I mean, as far as Spotify is concerned, this breakthrough support is obviously a little bit disconcerting. My personal feelings aside, I don't know. I mean, obviously, YouTube Music has kind of broken into that space as well. Could hurt revenues as far as that's concerned. Other music streaming services are out there for those who want to use them. What's the long-term lookout for Spotify? I mean, I know a lot of people are huge Spotify fans and they love their Spotify app and things like that. Getting to the point of being oversold here, and earnings is questionable. Me personally, I wouldn't be taking a position in this right now. That's just me. But, you know, you can do as you see fit as far as your risk protocol or your risk threshold is concerned. If you're already in and you want to average down, could be a point here soon where averaging down might make, you know, a good amount of sense. All right, Razine says, after we stabilize, would it be wise to pick a few growth names that have fallen to a reasonable EV/revenue multiple? You can. Growth stocks have been really hammered this year. I mean, a lot of growth stocks have been, you know, hit pretty hard, for lack of a better term. And, you know, I kind of showed some of those earlier, like, you know, SQ was one that I would have put in that, you know, growth stock list. Would I be comfortable taking SQ? Yeah, I would. Once we kind of cool off, and if we actually see some stabilization here from SQ and it actually starts to consolidate, I would consider taking a position myself. But I want to see that consolidation or a defined bounce first and a breakthrough, something like this. If we do have a defined resistance level that we've been bouncing off of that it can't seem to get past, I want to see a break of that. I define a break as close on the daily chart, so it needs to close above resistance and stay over there the next day. Then I would consider that an actual bounce and could consider a position at that point. You could definitely do that, Rizine. I'm not sure what Riz's strategy is going to be after that, but I can promise you probably he's going to be trading blue chip, blue chip stocks because of long-term stability. However, if you want to take a little bit of a gamble on a growth stock, you definitely could. It could be a very good entry for you long term. All right, Hugo has a couple questions. First one was Shopify. This one I know Riz is not too keen on. Wow. Obviously, Shopify did pretty well, with the pandemic because everybody and their brother decided that they were going to make their own Shopify store because, I mean, that's the thing to do, right? Shopify and e-commerce obviously made a lot of money post-COVID here. It had a bit of a drop like everybody did, and after that it was off to the races for Shopify. Doing a very nice correction now, by the way. Off the highs here, which were 1762.92, down to less than 50%. Excuse me. I got a little tickle in my throat tonight, guys. But yeah, this one is definitely oversold, but I would venture to say that Riz would say that this is still overvalued for what it is. Oh, they're actually in the green on earnings. That's impressive. They hadn't been for quite some time, back when we were watching it. Yeah, this one I would want to wait till we find a bottom. We pretty much are in free fall right now on Shopify. You can see that huge volume spike on Friday and that huge selling candle there. I'm not ready to try and catch this knife. That's me. If you can handle this type of risk and this amount of potential move, then go for it. Me personally, this is a little bit more, a little rich for my blood, as they would say. I'll be honest, guys, I don't have a huge account. Riz is the one with the huge account. I know he's not going to be interested in taking something like this, especially when it's behaving in this manner right now, because it could totally drop more. There's nothing to stop it at this point. We'd have to go back and look at, kind of previous support levels to get an idea of where we might be going. That looks fairly relevant right there. So, I mean, we could still be looking towards 1840 or so. And then after that, let's see. Yeah, 700 is going to be pretty important. It's an even number. So, something like that for here on Shopify. Those are levels I'd be keeping an eye on. See if it can hold there. Hugo says he's thinking about buying CRM around 200. Can it drop more? Absolutely it can. If the market continues to sell off, this can absolutely dip more. There's nothing that will stop it, in my opinion. There's no reason. If the market says sell, 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 then everybody's going to sell. And that's all there is to it. I think the big thing is, guys, is don't fight the market. Obviously, we can take dip plays when they present themselves to us, but you don't necessarily want to buy the dip all the time. Can CRM get down to about 200? I think definitely it possibly can. We are starting to see the moving averages roll over here in connection with this dip. Should be passing over the 200 simple moving average soon, which will be definitely a bearish sign when that sort of thing happens. But yeah, I mean, 200 seems like a pretty decent price point to me. Hugo, that looks like a pretty solid entry. And if it gets there, I suspect Riz might consider taking a little bit more at that price point as well. I can't say for certain because obviously I don't know his plan, but that seems pretty reasonable to me. Great names tonight, guys. I love this. See, people are typing. All right, STX. Seagate Technologies. I feel like I've heard of this before. Let's see. Have I played with this in the past? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so it looks like we're on a pretty massive rally here. But again, getting hammered here over the last couple days, so we're in full-on correction mode. It looks like earnings is coming up here on the 26th. So what is that, Wednesday? Yes, I guessed it correct. Well done. I can do math on stream. That's a task, let me tell you. With earnings coming up, I would be very, very careful with something like this. Again, I don't know the fundamentals on Seagate Technologies, but I mean, it looks like it's been on quite the run here since about last November, and has not quit pretty much the whole time. But we did have a nice double top up here around 116, and we're having a solid rejection off of that right now. Keep an eye on it around the 200, I would say, but if it's anywhere close to earnings, I would not recommend taking a position before earnings. Just is way too risky. That's a straight up coin flip, lottery ticket, whatever you want to call it. I would like to see what happens post earnings. Let's see how previous earnings results have been. Looks like pretty decent as of late. What's their dividend? About 60 odd cents, nearly 70. That's pretty solid. Can't complain about that. But yeah, it looks like we missed it here. We'd have to wait for that to come back around again later. But yeah, I'd hold off again on this one. I think you're going to hear me say a lot about this because right now we don't know where the bottom on the market's going to be. And anybody who tells you that they do is straight up lying to you. So our plan right now is to be incredibly defensive, be very picky with our stocks that we decide to go long on until, of course, we have a defined bounce in the market. And then we'll just say game on. I can promise you Riz is chomping at the bit and he's ready to go. And one of those ones that we were watching and someone just asked me about was Netflix. Got absolutely wrecked on earnings. Not exactly sure why, but I think they're losing market share to other streaming services at this point, if I recall. I don't have the subscriber numbers here. Let's see. Let's see if it posted in the news. The thing that kills me is when we get all these other things. Okay. Apparently the investors were disappointed. There's a lot of news stories saying how disappointed they were. So obviously people are very disappointed in Netflix right now. It is almost a doji candle. You could also say that this is a bottoming hammer. If you want to call it that. Yeah, they're definitely, I mean, look at that volume spike. I mean, come on. Where are we at? 58 million shares traded on Friday. So yes, the buyers definitely did get in. We could definitely be seeing a floor on Netflix here. And I mean, it's pretty solid. I mean, you could get quite a big rebound from here if support down here holds. Guys, I've seen stuff like this before. Be very, very careful, especially post earnings where you have such a huge move like this. Let's go ahead and measure that, shall we? So 20%. I mean, that's a 20% dump. I know, that volume. You're not kidding, Yas. But you could take a starter position if you have the account size and you can handle the day-to-day, the intraday volatility on something like Netflix. Definitely something you could consider. Me personally, I'm not going to take it. Again, account size is somewhat limiting as far as that's concerned, but could be a very, very nice trade for you if it does decide to bounce from here. But with market conditions being what they are right now, I'd be incredibly careful jumping in on something like this, especially with the tech sector being down, with it being hammered even before this. I mean, yeah, that was a 20% drop, but let's see where we were from the highs, even before earnings. So before earnings, it was about a 27% drop, and now we are sitting right about there at about a 43% drop. Yeah, back to 2019 levels, pretty darn close. It looks like early 2020, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I mean, Netflix getting absolutely slaughtered here. If the bleeding stops, yes, I think it's a pretty decent entry, and you can wait a couple days to see if that happens or not. Also, you being patient in this kind of environment lets you see what the market's going to do. If the market was just like grinding up like it was, a couple months ago and everything was looking fantastic and we have a result like this, yeah, I would say, yeah, this is a great entry because market conditions are looking solid. Maybe it was just, the outlook wasn't as good as they thought it was. Guidance is what they refer to that as. I'd be like, okay. But, they beat top and bottom estimates, that sort of thing. And they still get hammered like this, yeah, I would totally jump in. Now, with the market nearly in correction mode, going to be a little more careful jumping in on a high dollar stock like this. So, can it be a good entry? Absolutely. Am I jumping in? No. But can you do it? I would say if you do, take a smaller position size to give yourself room to average down. If it does continue to sell off here, you'll want to have that extra cash available. What are my thoughts on the VIX being relatively low compared to the huge sell-off in the market? So let's take a look at the VIX. Whoops. Doesn't look that low to me. I mean, that's 70% change in the VIX. Doesn't look too unvolatile, in my opinion. So VIX is doing VIX things. Be careful with this. This is not something to be trifled with. In and out on VIX, guys. If that's your thing, if you like trading the VIX, in and out. This is not a long-term hold. That's my recommendation. So be very, very careful. I think it has reacted perfectly fine, and puts on VXX. No. Yeah. Okay. I thought that was it. Yeah, no. I know you're joking, Yas, but yeah. The VIX is the VIX taketh and the VIX taketh away. Will be my thing. Those who are successful trading the VIX do it very short term. Anybody who says they're buying and holding VIX is either lying or freaking stupid. I think this is a perfectly fine move in the VIX for the amount of movement we've had in the market. Again, yeah, when you pull it back and you're like, wow, it hardly moved compared to this. Yeah, that's fair. This was also 2020, back in the Rona days. But if you kind of zoom in and kind of look at it a little bit closer, I'd say, yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. YOLO calls on DKNG. I see you like betting. That's a straight lottery ticket. That's all it is, Matthew. If you like throwing money away, you can just give it to me. I can promise you that it'll go to a better home. You could just wire it direct to my trading account, and I can promise you that I will put it to better use than buying YOLO calls on DraftKings. No. Just no. There's a calculated YOLO, and there's just straight bad ideas. And no, this is not a good one. I don't mean to dog on you, Matthew, but I can only imagine what the price on puts are, to be honest with you. But yeah, I would not touch this with a 10-foot pole, guys. I'm leaving this one well alone. They do great commercials and stuff with that. Yeah, I know. Okay, so let me preface this. There was a company that we had traded a while back. It was referred to, or was not referred to, as Big C. We had a successful trade on this, and then one that was not so successful. And I was a victim of this one. I sold off when Riz sold. It was probably a good decision. My joke, of course, was that when I had my own IPO, which obviously I'll be doing here in very short term, my ticker is going to be Big D, because it's Chris Willett and I'm the Big D. Not that there couldn't be any other meaning behind that. I would never think that someone would do something with a stock ticker like that. So I will let you guys know first, all right? So you guys can all be early adopters of Big D whenever we make that come out. Everybody can be an early adopter. Get on the get on the roll for that. Make sure that everything's all wrapped up and you got your position ready to go. But until then, sadly, not touching big commerce with a 10-foot pole. Again, this is one, if you ask me, like, oh, should we take YOLO calls on this? Nope, we should not, because this is a piece of crap now. Had high hopes for it, as a potential, competitor somewhat to Shopify in the e-commerce sector, but it really has not panned out at all. And it's one of those things where you're like, well, why is it not working? Why is it not going where it should? Well, obviously, we're losing money. That's definitely not a good thing. But it's one of those things, guys. It's like, you look at PLTR is another fantastic example. There's no reason it should be down here at 13. It just shouldn't. With all the contracts that they're getting and things like that, it should be a lot higher. CRSR, another one. Really solid gaming company, but it's just getting absolutely wrecked, and there's not necessarily any rhyme or reason to it. Earnings, of course, here over the last couple ones have been bad, but I mean, look, they're in the green. They're making money. The company is solvent. It makes sense, but yet the stock price doesn't necessarily reflect that. There are some things, it's one of those things, guys, where it just doesn't necessarily make sense, and you gotta let it go. Amazon got wrecked too. Let's take a look. Yeah, Amazon got frickin' demolished. Down she goes. Wow, look at that, oversold. What's that RSI? 27. Whew, I'm sorry, 21. I was on the day before. 21 on RSI. Talk about oversold. I know Riz is holding this one. He was holding a very sizable position, and I can promise you he's still holding it. I know how he operates. So yeah, guys, things just getting absolutely demolished right now. Be patient. This is the time when we need to get ready. All joking aside, with my ticker that obviously is going to go to the moon when we get that IPO done. All joking aside, back to serious now. Serious, Chris. We are nearly in correction territory on the S&P 500. We are on the NASDAQ. And this is the time where you need to be ready. This is the time where we hold, and not necessarily referring to stock positions, but we need to be ready to go. So get your cash piles ready. Yup, absolutely. It's getting juicy and exciting. You are right. This is the time. This is the time when we make our money, guys. Of course, we make money during all different types of market environments because you can go both ways. Giggity. But be ready is what I'm going to say. For all my elite members, be ready. Have your cash pile on hand, and don't take any speculative plays right now in this type of market condition. That is not usually the best idea. Again, of course, I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your money or give you financial advice. You can make your own decisions, but as far as I'm concerned, what I'm doing, I'm not taking anything until we find the bottom and we're ready to go. No, I don't think he will. Yas asks, will Riz be looking to short the market during interest rate hikes environment? I don't think so. I don't think Riz is too keen on taking things shorts or buying straight up puts. He'll be doing short puts and things like that as far as that's concerned, but straight up, shorting the SPY? No, I don't think so. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Really appreciate all the great questions. Again, I want to apologize that Riz couldn't make it. I know he wanted to. He would be here if he could, because I know he had a lot of things he wanted to talk to you guys about. But hopefully he is feeling better, and I'm glad you all came out and hung out with me for a little bit. It was awesome having everybody here. Thank you, as always, and we will see you in Discord on Monday. Good night, everybody.